Good afternoon. This is Mike Layton again. I'm the owner of Stochastic Marketing, and for first-time listeners, we've analyzed about 30 million of our customers' visits to homes. It's getting up to about $4 billion in sales, and we make these podcasts available to our customers as a way to, collect information, share their real-world knowledge, go on the portal, and they can listen to what some of their peers are saying, and it's a reason for somebody to make an introduction and kind of share back and forth. But what I wanted to do today is talk with Dan Billingsley. He's the owner of Heatwave Heating and Air near Kankakee, Illinois, in the north central part of the state. Good afternoon, Dan.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike.
I really wanted to kind of share Dan's experience because he has operated a heating and air conditioning plumbing business and even a pest control kind of business, although yours is really like a pool service too, isn't it?
Lawn service.
Lawn service, excuse me. We'll edit that down, lawn service. And we describe that as sort of a growth stacking strategy. Many times, Kankakee is a really small market, so there's only so many people you can sell heating and air conditioning and plumbing to. Isn't that right, in Kankakee?
Yeah, that is a fact.
3 or 4 zip codes probably with people in it. It's probably all you have. Kind of really
with a decent that actually have a decent amount of people, yeah.
Yeah, for people that aren't familiar with North Central Illinois is a sea of fantastic fields full of corn, but not a lot of people. And are you from Kankakee originally?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay. What made you decide to become an HVAC guy?
I've been doing HVAC since I was 18 years old.
So
it's just something I just kind of fell into. My dad kind of told me to, if I did heating and air conditioning, I'd always have a job. And he was right about that.
Well, at least you got some good advice. So you didn't grow up. Well, you have grown up in the business if you started when you were 18, but he wasn't in that business, or what was he?
He was more like an industrial pipe fitter.
Okay.
So he knows the industry, but he just didn't do exactly what I'm doing.
That's funny. We kind of had the reverse. My dad was president of the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers, and in St. Louis, and he worked for the local gas utility as a furnace repair guy. Service and installation, and the flip side, I was a pipe fitter in the summers to pay for college, and he never, now that I know what I know about the industry, he never went out on his own and started his own place, and he should have, from what we know about the numbers. Funny parallels. Now, a contractor your size, the owner is typically the person that runs really all aspects of the contractor's marketing, in addition to all the other technical hats you have to wear. How did you get your head around marketing for lawn care, plumbing, and heating and air conditioning?
That's a good question. We had the heating and air conditioning, I guess, customer service base. So we had an existing customer service base to go after for the plumbing and then the lawn care marketing. We picked up a closed, I guess you could call it a closed lawn service business, book of customer lists, and aggressively market them, and we picked up about 60% of them right off the bat from a company that had already closed, and that was key to getting our foot in the door and rolling right away with that with that division of the company.
So you bought that pretty much when they were ready to go under, and just bought the customer list?
Well, they went out in the fall, and we bought it in the spring. So, but here, I mean, you've got 5 months, maybe even 6 months of the year where there's no lawn service needed. So we picked it up the following season, and then we capitalized on it pretty well.
And how do you do cross-selling HVAC or plumbing to lawn care customers?
It's the truck and trailers all for the lawn service is all wrapped, and it lists everything we do on it. So this, the one thing about the lawn service is we have picked up a lot of our core business with it, because of the lawn service truck and trailer now is every week in and week out.
Yeah.
It's parked in prime neighborhoods day in and day out, week after week. And so it's like a mobile billboard it's in the neighborhoods we want to be in with the heating and air conditioning business. Yeah.
Every week.
Customers with a little more better income that they're paying somebody to cut their grass. So that we pick up a lot of business just off that truck and trailer alone.
Is that it's a completely different workforce, the plumbers and HVAC, right? Lower skill, but
yeah, it's a completely different employee type of an employee, really. Because it really is a low skill job. A little bit different mindset of the employee. So that was a little bit of work around it. Took us a little bit to work around that than what we were used to. But once we kind of got that on our grasp, and we got a good guy now that pretty much runs all the lawn service, and he's dependable, and it works now.
I guess probably the demographics are almost identical, I would think.
Yeah, they truly are. And the demographics for the lawn service are probably actually a little bit better demographics than the HVAC, because people that are paying you to cut the grass have a little bit more disposable income. They're paying you to cut the grass versus somebody that they may own the house and their furnace goes out and they have no heat, and they may own the house, but they might only have enough money to get you there to even look at it. So it's I guess the income part of the demographics on the lawn service business is definitely higher than the HVAC part of it.
So are you able to sell that via canvassing?
The lawn service?
You're right.
What we do is really for the lawn service is we really kind of hit that hard right in the spring, and then we fill up our schedule with weekly or biweekly customers, and then we just take that schedule then for the summer, and then if we pick up any, once we know we're full, but we can pick up a couple here and there without having to, because otherwise you'd have to pick up enough where you could put on a second crew or a third crew. You have to have enough, to keep them more than busy. So we like to get to where we have the one crew full, and then it's done. And then if we pick up a couple here or there, that's fine.
A new HVAC customer, for somebody, roughly your size, on average is worth, just shy of $1,700. Over their lifetime, maybe $2,100. What's a typical lawn care, annual contracts, maybe not the right term, but seasonal contract? What are they worth, I guess?
I could tell you really quick. About anywhere from 1,000 to maybe 1,400 a year, depending on how big their lot is or something like that. But that's about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 is pretty average per year.
And I know we'll talk about your plumbing and your HVAC business. You started off in HVAC. How long before you decided to add plumbing?
Well, I was always when I started in HVAC, I had got my apprentice plumber's license when I started, and then got my journeyman license 5 years later. And I know the plumbing business, but I was never a true plumber by trade, I guess.
Right.
And then when I started HVAC, I always, I do water heaters here and there, for people because I had my license. And then it took maybe 2 or 3 years before we really started hitting the plumbing harder, and then training guys to do the plumbing work, because there's a lot of plumbing work that is really profitable, So it's and you're already in the home. There's so many furnace and air jobs that we do where we replace the water heater when we're there, or the sump
right.
pump, or something like that, or you pick up a toilet replacement because the guys are already in the home and the customer just has the need and we can meet their need.
Now, a lot of guys think that that's going to happen just automatically.
No.
But yeah, and I've noticed we've got some customers that I would say some of them it's an 80-20 HVAC plumbing split on the revenue, but the really successful ones, and maybe you've done this, they're plumbers. Some of them have started to figure out they almost make as much money finding and flipping furnace and air conditioning leads when they're in looking for water heaters as they do actually being a plumber, because it's easy.
Yeah, that we don't get a ton of that, but we do get enough of it to be happy, I guess you could say, But yeah, but I would say on the reverse end of it, we probably get more water heater installs out of our HVAC guys, because we've got, we're doing, on average 12 tune-ups a day, just in tune-ups. So when they're doing the furnace tune-up or the air conditioner tune-up, it's really easy to check out the water heater and put their inspection camera in the burner chamber of the water heater and see all the corrosion and show the customer how corroded their water heater is, and just explain to them the life and how we just explain to them when you're talking water heaters, you want to be proactive with water heaters replacement. You don't want to wait till your water heater splits and floods out your basement. You want to be proactive, with it, and we just show them and give them their options. And people don't like the idea of their coming home to find a flooded basement, or their hot water heater goes out on the weekend and they have no hot water.
Right.
I think people fear no hot water more than heat.
Do you have your HVAC techs? Do they do water heater inspections, or do they get the plumbers to come out?
A couple of them are cross-trained. Yep. So that really helps me out a lot, and especially balances the workload too with the seasonal shifts. So we are able to capitalize on it. We got a couple guys that can really do both sides of it efficiently and effectively.
So what do you think the percentage of the HVAC customers buy plumbing and the percentage of the plumbing customers buy HVAC? What would you guess?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think 15 to 20 is the number. I don't see many people selling more than really cross-sell more than 20% very often. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, while you're there, I mean, a lot of our customers now, since we've been doing it a little while, will just call us for both, you know, when they need us. You know, we have a really good retention with the seasonal tune-ups for HVAC versus our plumbing department really is more of an as-needed basis, you know. But our customers know that when they need us for plumbing, that we're here for them.
Well, you know, for being in a small town, and you've got a pretty sophisticated website. And what are some of the things you looked for when you were looking at, you know, various digital or internet marketing capabilities? What were you? Are you using a local guy, or are you using some of the more common sort of templates? What were you looking for when you put that together?
I had that built early when we were in business, and I was looking for somebody that worked with my budget at the time, and they did a bunch of. I had seen other HVAC websites that they did, bigger companies, and you know, and they had some templates that we could use to work with the budget I was working with at the time, and you know, we went with it.
Well, in addition to the web and mail, what else is out there for you? Is it radio or local high school team sponsorships or local papers? What do you rely on to generate business?
The two other main pieces of advertising that we do, besides, you know, we're heavy on direct mail and we're heavy on the internet. But we do our local cable. I shouldn't say local cable, but local. Like, we have Comcast here for our cable provider, and the Comcast market here it's almost like our exact service area. So we do a lot of branding on the TV. It's really, really cheap in our market to do.
Right.
So we run tune-up ads that kind of mirror our direct mail campaigns. So we're top of mind awareness, and then the only other marketing thing we really do is we have a magnet on the cover of the phone book that still, with a tracking number, still rakes in a ton of calls, and I think that has a lot to do with, you know, the more rural area where our phone book's not 3 inches thick, and people still use it quite a bit, you know. So, you know, between those four ways of marketing, I mean, those are our four primary ways of marketing right there.
It's interesting always the amount of opportunity that's in some smaller towns. I mean, so you've got between HVAC, plumbing, and the lawn care, I mean, how many people are you having to kind of keep on top of in a typical month?
You mean how many people do we service in a typical month?
No. How much? I mean, how many employees do you have to keep on top of?
We average about between 9 and 11 employees at a time. So and right now,
probably. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right now, we could use 2 more. We've got a recruiting program going, but we're extremely selective of who we hire, you know, anymore. So, you know, we make more of a process out of it to get better candidates. So it takes a little longer sometimes.
So do you have to? A lot of the really bigger guys in major markets, you know, I'm talking people that have 50 or more employees. They tend to, you know, do the training in-house and start them from, you know, nothing and grow them internally as opposed to rating them from somebody else.
That's what we do.
You know, you have to, don't you, in your market?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to. And then a lot of times, you know, in the smaller market too is, you know, there's a handful of guys that they just bounce around, and they're just, you know, we just got a saying for it. You know, they're really just somebody else's garbage in a way. You know, they're just guys that we don't want. We'd rather train them from ground up. If you got a good attitude and you can deal with the customer really well, and you can work with your hands, then we're willing to train you from scratch and teach you to do it our way. And we've had more success doing that than we've ever had by hiring somebody who's been in the industry for 10 or 15 years, by far.
Yeah, I think more and more guys are saying that. I think people have a hard time finding somebody with the technical aptitude and no tattoos on their neck.
Yeah, that's tough too.
Just finding the people. And you've not had to do like some guys in some bigger markets putting up billboards saying they're hiring. Just they get 100 applications to get 3 people to interview, and they hire 1.
Yeah, on average, we schedule 25 people a week for interviews. And yesterday we do interviews every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Yesterday we had 25 people confirmed that they're coming. 5 show up. And that's, we average between 4 and 11 a week that actually show up for an interview. Even the first interview, we schedule 25 a week. So it's kind of amazing, really, too, how it just shows how tough it is to even get people to, show up for an interview, to even meet them. So.
And you have to go through that many people just to keep a staff of 10 the way you want it?
Well, we've been running this recruiting program since December, and we've interviewed over 400 people, and I gotta say, right now, out of all, we've hired, I think, 7 or 8, maybe 9 out of those, and today, I've got 2 of those people still that we actually kept. So we're extremely selective, but at the same time, the employment pool is really rough. There's we had a conversation the other day. We were having a conversation like the local community colleges or somebody. They need to at least put on like seminars on how to interview, because you get people that show up for interviews that it's just amazing. They come in pajamas, or they come in, you know what I mean, like not even dressed like that they're coming to work. They just, it's first impressions, everything, and it's just it's amazing, really. It's almost like they come in for the interview but don't want the job. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. You think that's a generational thing? What do you think? What do you think causes that?
I don't know. It could be generational. I don't. I really don't have an answer for that. I really don't.
Well, what advice would you give maybe an owner who's thinking about expanding his services, either by developing that expertise in-house on their own or going through an acquisition, if the alternative is 400 interviews to get 2 good employees? It's just mind-boggling when you think about it.
It is, but you can't just hire anybody off the street either.
Right.
If you're selective enough now, and if you got the right interview questions, and we don't hire anybody anymore without a DISC profile and values assessment. To we want to see their personality and how they react to different things. Says a lot about somebody working in a home. They all got to be background checked and drug tested. When we tell people they come in for an interview probably 80% of the weeks we do it, we at least get one person that leaves. And once you tell them you got to pass a background check and a drug test. So it's tough, but I guess if that's what we got to go through to get 1, 2 good superstars, then that's what we got to do. And I mean, and we're always looking, you know, when I'm out, when I go out to a restaurant or I go out anywhere where there's people, you know, the cell phone store or anybody, I'm always looking and have my eye open for somebody that just provides good customer service. You know, somebody that can interact with the customer well. Because if you can interact with the customer well and you have a positive attitude, you know, I can teach you to do HVAC, you know. So that's kind of where we are with it. You know, and I got a couple guys that've been with me for, you know, a long time now that started from nothing, and they are top notch, you know, employees.
I mean, yeah, outside of the industry, I think it's a really well kept secret of how good a living a guy, you know, a skilled technician or a sales guy or whatever can make in a company, whether it's a 10-person company or a 100-person company. It's just I don't think the general public has any idea. I know that.
No, I really don't think they do. You know, they really have no idea. I think they look at HVAC as you know, just like a commodity position almost, you know, and it's, I mean, you know, my top guys are knocking down some big checks, you know.
Right.
I mean, I won't exactly go into too much detail, but they make.
Well, everybody listening knows, right?
Yeah, they're making more money than people with four-year degrees and
oh
more,
yeah,
you know, by
absolutely.
far, you know. So
and they
yeah,
borrow
it's
money
definitely a secret. It's either a secret or people don't move, you know. So.
Well, what do you think some of the best sources of information for you? You're up in Kankakee, and if you're looking for information on contractor marketing, is it service roundtable meetings or Airtime 500 or Comfort Tech? Where do you go to get information and kind of stay current?
We're currently, I've been an active member for Service Roundtable since, 2009, 2010. I've been a member of Airtime, since 2010. We're a Comfort Institute member, ACCA member, you know, pretty much, I mean, those are the bigger ones. You know, I stay up to date on their emails, the forums with the guys chatting about conversations. You know, I go to every conference I can, you know, just to meet people, bounce ideas off each other. You know, if I go to a conference for 2 days or 3 days, if I come back with one great idea or a great thing to help improve my business, then it was more than worthwhile to me, and that's the way I look at it.
And if you were thinking about growing through acquisition, is that kind of the same? You go to the same places for that kind of information? You know, looking at buying a plumber, looking at buying somebody like that?
Yeah, you know, when I go to those, you know, usually you meet people that have done it, you know, or bought out somebody, you know, and there's definitely there's always stories, you know, so, and there's always ideas, and there's so many different tactics and ways to go about it, about making it happen, and ways to make the deal with the other guy. It's amazing some of the ideas you hear and how people make it work, and so that way they can grow. Because at the end of the day, it's you know, growing by acquisition is definitely probably more cost effective than regular marketing. But you know, we got to do it all.
Hey, wait. It's a blend. It's a blend.
It is. It definitely is.
I will say you're right though. In that.
But you can't acquire companies every week either. You know. So and then when you do acquire them, you got to market them.
Yeah, and I think I see very seldom, you know, even in major metropolitan areas, you know, with 5 million people in them. It's pretty unusual to grow organically in one trade over 10 million in sales. I mean, we see 300 guys' numbers, right?
Yeah.
Almost any of them that are get up to that $7 to $10 million range, when you actually dig into their numbers, they're more like you than they're different than you. They've got a HVAC and a plumbing, or they've got an HVAC plumbing and electrical, or they've got residential HVAC and a smaller commercial HVAC and plumbing. Almost always, really, if guys think about it, they really have grown through acquisition. And they may have made the acquisition 20 years ago, so they've forgotten that at one point they bought 2 plumbers and a truck.
Right.
And then slowly grew it. It's been doing it so long, they don't remember that at one point
they
did actually buy.
And you forget.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I forget about ones that we've done, that we did 5, 6 years ago. You forget about it until somebody reminds you.
So you run into a magnet on a piece of equipment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. I think there's a lot of value in being able to go on these and listen to them, and we're going to categorize them so you can, kind of listen to how different guys have done it.